Alrighty. I said I came on their page. There's some cool little facts over here of different places it's been played. Chicago, Soldier Field.
Yeah. It's been played all over the place.
Most notably, Philadelphia is the most recognized stadium or city that they've played in.
Okay.
Halfway between both.
Okay. Okay, and you crossed JP out.
What's that?
It's time for those crazy, zany guys. They served their country, and they're serving it today. Coming to you live here at JPK Crew. The JPK Broadcasting Network proudly presents Kilroy's Conversation.
Hoorah! And welcome to the show today. We've got ourselves a good one, especially for you sports fans out there. Yes, today is the only game that matters and counts in all of college football. That is the traditional 121st Army-Navy traditional game.
And
America's game.
JP, could you bring up the very first Army-Navy, the meme? Since we're going to open with this.
We're going to open. All righty. Let's see what this meme's got.
It's so important that I do a script so that nobody follows.
Exactly. But you know what? This is so true about the game, though. You know, as much as we have the rivalries and, you know, Navy Marine representing this side, Army representing on this side, while we love to rub it in each other's face, the bottom of this speaks to what the real meaning of this game is and what today is all about. You know,
the only game where everybody playing on the field is willing to die for everybody watching in the stands.
Yep, and each other.
And each other. Very much each other. It is a heated rivalry. It is steeped in tradition. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. We started out with the Navy fight song because unfortunately Navy finished last, and what we'll do is we'll talk about this, and then at 8:20 we're going to pay homage to one of the greatest pilots in history.
Americans too.
Lost.
I think.
But we'll do that at 8:20, and then we are absolutely thrilled to have Ashley Leppert is going to be on in the second half of the show. She wrote a book called The Hurricane Within.
Wonderful read.
Her experiences as a crewman on a Coast Guard helicopter during Hurricane Harvey, and then her personal battles with her own health history. So we'll talk about that, but we're going to jump in and talk about the Army-Navy game.
Yeah. Where do we the uniforms. I guess that's probably a good starting point. Now, I know
we don't have pictures of the uniforms.
We don't. Well, anyway, we'll talk about it. You can Google them. That's all right. You don't have uniforms. But actually, yes, we do. I sent JP the uniforms last week. He's got them. So we're going to put them. JP, I don't care which one you want to throw up there because we can talk about them all. Every year they make custom uniforms for the Army-Navy game, each service academy. Now,
you're putting me on the fly, White.
Hey, you know what?
Listen to a retired Army major.
We work under pressure, adapt and overcome.
Yeah. Oh.
You know?
No, what it is
that what that
Major
is?
Major White not getting his stuff to us this
Wait,
week.
Hoorah!
You didn't get your stuff to us for this show.
No. I had it here a week ago.
No. That doesn't count. That's last week's show.
No,
but that means
I was Hurley.
And I'm vamping here.
Hey,
hoping JP can find the picture.
He will.
I'm with Chuck.
Hey, you know what? I support JP all the way. I love JP. He will not let us. There we go. We got Army, all right?
Here's Army.
Now, I can talk a little bit about Army over here in the sense that, especially for the last several years, we have decided to pay homage to a notable division within inside the Army. This year, we are recognizing the 25th Infantry Division, Tropical Lightning, which I won't go into some of the nicknames that we have for it because this is still somewhat family-related show, so we'll keep it PG. We may go PG-13.
Come
but
on, get to the story about
the bottom line is these are one of the cooler uniforms we've had in a while. They're pay tribute in history to a great division with a long history, especially during World War I and World War II, where they served incredibly notably, winning some incredible battles, supporting, operations, and then later, a very storied history over in Vietnam. Just a great division. The uniform, I love the color scheme that they used on it because it looks super old style too. Just cool. Now Navy.
Here we go, Navy.
Now I know you aren't crazy about it, but that's kind of a cool looking uniform.
Yeah, very modern, very CG graphic type. Yeah, but you got to love the pants. Did you notice on the pants the Eagle Globe and Anchor? The reason I'm wearing the Marine Corps
But don't they
shirt,
always put a Navy and Marine logo? I remember one year where they had the Eagle Globe and Anchor on one side of the helmet and the Navy.
Oh, that was my favorite.
That was a good helmet. That was a. 2 years ago, I did not like it, where it was like an aircraft carrier, kind of imposed on there. It was just too busy. It was cool, but it was more of like what you'd want for a collector's helmet, but not so much for the game. But look at that. Come on now. That's a tight looking uniform,
Here is the Navy helmet, as you can see.
What is that supposed to represent, though?
I have no earthly idea. I hate to say that. I think Navy's going to have a difficult time today, although I will say this. I so well remember, believe it was 2 years ago, Army was significant. And it's weird. There tends to be a trend of one school being significantly better than the other. They
definitely
often,
for a while, because Navy had a 14-year
dominance.
And I hate to admit that. Navy went on a 14-year run, absolute dominance over Army. I mean, we couldn't win a game under any circumstance for 14 years. And I remember the year that we finally upset Navy. And, man, let me tell you, there was not a dry eye in the Army side of it because 14 years of beating.
So it was either last year or the year before, and I'm struggling to remember which. But the key to this is that the shoe was on the other foot.
Yep.
Army was so good that year that they actually got a major, not a major bowl bid, but they got, so normally, and we were talking about this before the show. Go ahead.
Hey, just real quick, Antonio Marcelino from Connecticut says, good morning.
Good morning,
Antonio. How you doing? Antonio is one of my college buddies. He's calling in. So, Antonio, I love you, and definitely your father out there, loved him tremendously. His dad, I believe, can't remember the Navy E9. Is that Master Chief or Senior Master Chief?
I don't know.
Antonio, if you're listening, please help us out over here. But in the CB unit, great man. Miss him dearly. Definitely love Antonio out there. Thank you for tuning in and watching the show, brother. I appreciate it. I'll hit you up a little bit later on.
All right, cool. Thank you for calling in. But to finish the story, Andrew and I have been tied to the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth for years and years. Army was so good, even though they were slated to come to the Armed Forces Bowl, they actually got a much better bowl bid.
Yes, I remember.
To go play. But that was the year where Navy came out, and I remember they had two brothers at linebackers.
Yes.
They played their hearts out. They wound up losing that game, but
wasn't it a field? It was a missed field goal. It was just no
field goal,
and he missed it by
not very much.
He gave it his all, and it was a great game.
Okay, this picture is just particularly offensive to me. It's go Navy beat Army. Come on,
and it's go Army.
Andrew didn't
Navy.
send me one of those.
Yeah. So,
do those exist? I'm not sure.
Okay, so let's get beyond the fashion show segment of the show.
Right.
We could, instead of Army Navy game, we could have dubbed this fashion show. We've been talking a lot about the uniforms, and I have to say, I've got to track down the Navy uniform from a couple of years ago that
It's
they
on
have
their
the-
page right now. The one
They have the patches. They will put patches from different units. And when I looked up on TV, and I actually had to,
right.
was just screaming at everyone. We were at a big watching party. Look, that's my old unit. That's my old unit. But they had the Flying Tigers 262 emblem.
Now the question is, I told you, and if you remember last week's show, we talked about the Army. The seniors wear the patch of the division that they're going to be going to.
Yeah, I did not know that. They've
Right.
already gotten their assignments.
Yes. Does the Navy? Is it the same tradition for the
do not
Navy?
know.
We'll have to find that out.
It can't be.
Right.
I don't think, because I know the Marine Corps does not make their actual command assignments
Okay.
until they complete their school. So let me explain that real fast. They go to school for 4 years at one of the service academies. And our guest coming on later, I actually applied to the Coast Guard Academy, as a matter of fact.
In New London, Connecticut.
New London, Connecticut.
Beautiful campus.
Okay. So we'll talk about that when we have
Right.
Ashley on in a little bit. But I know the Marines don't get their assignment, so the Marines will go to the basic school,
Right.
where all Marine officers spend 6 months learning how to, what fork to eat with, and how to sharpen your crayons and all of those things. Important stuff. The Navy goes on to their follow-on school, so you will be assigned an MOS, a military occupational specialty, and let's say you're going to be a submariner. Speaking of New London,
Right.
you will go to New London, Connecticut, and start to do your basic submariner course. If you're going to be a pilot like I was, you are assigned to Pensacola, Florida. We are not assigned, or the Marines at least, were not assigned to a unit until they went and graduated, knew what helicopter they were going to fly.
Gotcha.
And sometimes, because mine switched, I was in the replacement air group at Tustin. I actually flew out of the old blimp hangars, and I actually switched from HMM 163 to 262 because I got transferred to Hawaii.
Nice. Not a bad situation for you.
No, it was tough duty, but somebody had to do it.
Exactly. And we're glad you stepped up. Yeah, we're so glad you stepped up for that. But like I said, the Army, the seniors traditionally wear the division patch of where they will be heading off to upon completion of their basic course, wherever that may be. Yep. So kind of a cool little thing. I like that they do that. But the game is traditionally played on a neutral site and neutral field. It's been the three most common locations have been New York over at Yankee Stadium, Baltimore, and Philadelphia. Philadelphia being the leader of most played stadium, mainly because it is halfway between both service academies, and it's kind of a cool tradition. I was actually at the game, I think it was 98 or 99, I don't remember what year, but went out there and wasn't in the stadium, but I was on the outside of it when I was in Philadelphia. Wow. The tradition and the atmosphere is electric, to put it mildly. It is a lot of fun. The traditions, the pageantry, everything about the game is just great. Watching the Service Academy, to me, the coolest thing is watching the Service Academy cadets and midshipmen enter the stadium.
Yes.
That is really powerful. Now, it's called the Brigade of Midshipmen, I believe, is what they're called when they... I'm not up on Navy terms, so I believe it's called the Brigade of Midshipmen, and it's the Corps Cadets. So I believe that is I know Corps Cadets for sure, but I believe it's the Brigade of Midshipmen. And when they enter the stadium and then they meet...
The long gray line is how I always talk about it.
And they meet at the center, and both Service Academy, their senior cadets exchange handshakes, and I'm looking at the picture. It's a unbelievable tradition between both Service Academies. It's amazing. And one of the things that I find really cool that they do over there is during the game, all four, to include the Merchant Marine Academy. People forget about them.
We forget about them.
All sing the national anthem in a joint ceremony that day. That is where
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say there's not a lot of kneeling going on during the Army.
I am going to probably agree with you on that. There is probably, you will not find a single cadet, midshipman, Coastie, and I'm not sure what you call the Merchant Marine.
Merchies, I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of our Merchant Marine listeners type that into a Facebook column.
Yeah, we need to know what you are
We
appropriately
will
called.
tap into the incredible wealth of knowledge.
But
our,
it's incredible. But back to the thing with the game, the tradition, the history, the
so you set yourself up,
right.
and then you blew the segue.
I did.
So you were talking about where the game is normally played.
Oh, this year it is being played. Unfortunately, I don't know how I want to, because I kind of like where it's being played this year. It's being played at West Point this year due to COVID. They had to play the game on an actual, academy field. And we talked about this, is academy stadiums are generally smaller in nature, compared to some of these monster.
As we continue dropping knowledge bombs, they refer to it as West Point.
Yep.
The official name for it is the United States Military Academy
at West Point.
And that was where I was going. It is literally on the banks of the Hudson River. It is an absolutely gorgeous location, but it is in the town of West Point.
Yep.
So West Point is the town, not the university, but it's like Kleenex.
Yep.
It doesn't matter who made it. It's still Kleenex,
Kleenex.
and so now it is West Point. But to your point about this incredible stadium, they are all smaller. They're 30, 35,000 seat
Right.
stadiums. We're used to these monster stadiums. It's a little bit more like SMU's Ford Field.
Yeah, which is a great stadium to watch a game.
Great place to watch a football game. And so we talked about it last time. One of the things we're going to do, we're going to make road trips every year from now on.
Yep.
The first one will probably be, because it's a short drive, and
JP's volunteered the
got
RV.
an RV. We're going to go up to Colorado Springs.
Hey, to party with you guys, you betcha, man.
Oh, baby.
35-foot, 2 bedrooms, big old kitchen, like a house kitchen.
This will be so
Barbecue
This will be a good road-
outside.
Great road
Entertainment
trip.
center outside. Are you kidding me? We're ready, baby.
And I'll bet that we can time most of these to
Yep.
catch a game with somebody. There'll be a lot of games with Air Force.
Yep.
But we want to hit all three stadiums, the stadium in Annapolis. And I'll tell you what, one of my great regrets being stationed in Quantico during football season, and my roommate was Naval Academy grad.
How far is Quantico from the academy?
Hour and a half?
Oh,
not far.
Oh,
I
man,
mean, the
Chuck,
worst part's traffic.
How did you not? Hour and a half.
There is so much to do in our nation's capital. The Civil War battlefields that are around it, the museums, the Smithsonian. I did go to the Smithsonian, but only like once. I got to see Hal Holbrook do Mark Twain at the Kennedy Center. Still one of my cherished memories. But the things that I didn't do, I still kick myself for not doing. Anyway,
Right.
back to Army-Navy. The
Go
game
for
is
it.
being played at West Point on the banks of the Hudson River. And I think that's going to be, we've talked about this, that is going to be really, really a cool setting for this game.
I agree. It's always electric. It's always exciting. You'll see all types of military displays of all kinds of shapes and forms. You'll have probably a combination of both the Leapfrogs and the Army Black Knights jumping in. I'm sure you'll have
Frogs. They have got to come up with a better name.
I don't know, man. It's
that
kind
sounds
of
like
cool.
a kid's toy.
But it's cool, though. Tradition. You'll have probably a combination. Army, we have our helicopters, but I'm sure the Blue Angels will do a flyover. I mean, all the traditional stuff that we are accustomed to seeing, you're going to see. And it's probably going to be at a grander level because of where it's at this year.
Speaking of fly, I want to share this story. It's nothing to do with the Army-Navy game.
Sure.
We had a B-2 do a flyover. I was actually at the 2010 Rose Bowl game, which was the 2009 season where Texas played Alabama. And for the first time in history, Alabama beat Texas. I was brokenhearted. But the game started just about the time the sun was going down. We're at 8:20. But the B-2 comes flying over, and you couldn't see it. It became
fog.
so dark. No,
Oh.
it was so dark.
Oh.
So the sun had actually set by that point in time. And lo and behold, but you sure could hear it. Anyway, the flyovers are cool. The helicopters are cool. We wanted to jump to, and I'm going to let you lead with, we're going to go through some of the best remembered players from the Army-Navy game.
All right.
Do you even know who this is?
I'll be honest with you.
Glenn Davis and Doc Blanchard. I can't believe you blew this one.
But
And
we know who
Doc
this
Blanchard-
guy
He's gotta
is.
know- he's gotta know this one.
Out of order. He's last.
I was trying to help you, Andrew.
No, you
So that's
screwed
all
me
right.
up.
That's all right.
Screwing us up. Okay, and the significance of this is this is the 1946 team.
Yep.
These guys did not fight in World War II. There is a great book, but we're going to talk about books later. But the All Americans talks about the history of the 1944 graduating class and their experiences, both from Army and Navy.
Right.
We're going to talk about Heisman Trophy winners because that doesn't happen often.
No, not for the service academies.
But these guys were referred to as Mr. Inside and Mr. Outside, a couple of great halfbacks for the Army team. Let's skip forward to the next picture in order. And I'm going to talk about a local boy. No.
Well, he is a local boy. But
He is a local boy, but I'm talking about our own Clint Bruce.
There he is.
Clint Bruce is an incredible individual. Wound up being a Navy SEAL when he got out. But what's interesting is he also played for the Baltimore Ravens and the New Orleans Saints.
Was it the Saints?
I believe it was the Saints. I
All
think
right.
it was the Saints. Anyway, played for
so
two
Miami,
NFL
but
teams.
that's right. Semantics.
He played for a couple of NFL teams. We care about him for doing this.
Do you know his story with Notre Dame?
I do not know his story with Notre Dame.
I'll share the Notre Dame
Quickly.
story. I was at a lunch with him where he was speaking a couple years ago, and he really wanted to go to Notre Dame.
Interesting.
Really want to, but Lou Holtz did not think he was good enough to play for Notre Dame. He ended up playing.
Congressman Pat Fallon's going to hate me for this, but Lou, you don't get them all right.
Well, he made at the time the great blue-gray game that was for all seniors.
Yes.
Lou Holtz was coaching. I can't remember whether the blue or the gray side. It was the side that Clint was selected to be on, and he was so upset because Lou Holtz went to him. He asked to be traded to the other side so he could play against Lou Holtz. And
I love it. That's the kind of guy Clint is, and we know Clint as the founder of an organization that has strong ties for me personally, to the Naval Academy. For those of you who know, I carry my friend, First Lieutenant Don Woolly Bear Woollett. We lost him in Beirut. Carry the Load is about remembering those that we have lost. Clint founded this. I am honored to consider him a friend.
Great guy.
He is a bear of a man.
That's an understatement.
Nicest guy you'd want to meet, but he walks into a room right now. He is a scary-looking dude, and he currently runs Trident. And I don't know if I think it's just Trident, which is a security firm. Does really well. One of his guys over there is retired Lieutenant Colonel Junior Ortiz, who I consider another friend. So strong connection, and that's why Clint's up there. You may not have heard of him, but we are going to talk about from here. We're going to talk about Service Academy guys that played in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
So let's bring the next one up. Speaking of not kneeling, gotta love this guy.
There is nothing to not like about him.
This is Alejandro Villarreal.
Yeah.
Did I say that correctly? I am horrible at Spanish.
Yep. He first of all, if you think Clint Bruce is a monster of a man, this guy is a monster of a man. 6'7".
Wow.
He is, and you really see a picture of him standing next to
a normal human being.
Or better yet, Ben Roethlisberger. And we all know
Really?
Big Ben,
Yeah,
is a big guy. Big Ben looks up to him. That just kind of gives you a perspective of how large of a man he is. When Big Ben's got to tilt his head up a little bit. Former U.S. Army Ranger, West Point. In fact, I believe he was either a tight end or running. But when he played at the academy, he was not an offensive lineman.
Oh, okay.
No, he played a different
probably
position.
Probably a tight end. Not unusual for tight ends to grow into offensive tackles.
And he just had the God-given natural ability, and he became and it was it last year that where the entire team went inside and he was the only member of the Steelers.
Only member who came out for the national
and
anthem.
stood out there.
And you know what? You just got to love guys that will stand up and say, you know what? I'm not going to be canceled. Screw you guys. This is America. We have the right.
Yep.
You know, you have the right to – you don't have the right to disrespect the flag, but we won't do that debate today.
Right.
You know, if you don't want to come out and be part of the national anthem, don't. You have that right. But don't be canceling my guy who came out and said, by God, I'm an American, and this flag is about
he is a
people who
definition
have shed
of
blood for the country.
You don't get much cooler and more respected than him.
First-class guy. So this gives us a great segue into Dallas's own.
Yes,
and this is a guy with incredible history. The man, the myth, the legend.
The real
Roger
Captain
the Dodger.
America.
Yeah, absolutely, Staubach.
Yep.
So, little bit of football history. This is the last Service Academy grad to win the Heisman Trophy in 1963. JP and I are proud Longhorn fans. Navy came down to the Cotton Bowl to play Texas.
Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns, baby. And Duke Carlisle and his crew sent him home packing, and I understand that Roger was pretty pissed about that. He still is not a big fan of Texas, but he came to the Dallas Cowboys after his 5-year military
Yeah, I was about to ask
career.
you. I don't remember how many years he served.
He went to Vietnam and served. This is not a guy who shunned danger. This is an incredible guy.
He was a logistics officer, was he not?
I think he was. I know he was working at one point in time down in the Mekong Delta with the Riverine Marines. If you've ever seen Apocalypse Now, you've seen the river gunboats. They were very real. They were supported by guys who flew for HAL 1 and HAL 3. Right. These guys were flying gunship Hueys. They were absolutely nuts. We're actually going to do a segment on a show in the future about the Naval Academy. One of my instructors was one of them, and we got to go down and visit with his parents. But back to Roger. Won a couple of Super Bowls for the Dallas Cowboys. Absolute incredible businessman here in Dallas.
Class
incredibly
act
well respected.
But
I'm going to go out on a little bit. We're going to push the PG envelope here. I want to tell a true story of an interview that he did on the Johnny Carson show.
Really? All right.
And you know how for those of you who remember Johnny Carson, who I'm sorry,
wild and wacky stuff.
The guys that are doing late nights today just don't compare to Johnny Carson. It's not even close, but they're doing these interviews, and this is back when Broadway Joe Namath was quite the big deal, and Broadway Joe was quite the man's man and the player and all
even
that
with those
stuff.
silky legs.
Oh, baby. Oh, those silky legs. He did a pantyhose commercial at one point in time, which was pretty funny. But basically, and Johnny was known for really ribbing his guests, and he goes, so what's the deal with you, Roger? I mean, we got this Joe Namath out there, and he's this macho player, and he's got all these girlfriends and all this stuff. And he goes, Johnny, I like sex just as much as Joe. And, I mean, you could hear a pin drop in the studio.
Right.
I just like it with the same woman.
Nice.
True story. I have always loved Roger Dodger for that.
Yep.
All right, we are going to segue. Are we ready?
Well,
We were.
She's calling in.
She's calling in. Our next guest.
Oh, she's in. We're trying to get her on.
Cool. We're trying to get her on. Trying to get it. Can we get the appropriate background music?
I think I may have lost her.
Uh-oh.
Well, all right.
Please hold.
We're getting her on board. Chuck, I'll let you do the introduction.
Oh, okay. You're gonna let me have a lot of fun. We are gonna
Yes.
We are gonna play, and I should know it, and I don't off the top of my head. No, that's the we're gonna play the Coast Guard
song.
The Coast Guard song. I'm trying to remember the Coast Guard motto. It's it starts with a P. Semper,
Semper. Yeah, Semper. I don't.
Parbalis?
Sounds right.
Basically, they're always ready.
I'm not up on my Latin right now.
Okay, so as we try to get our technical stuff going, where is the adorable Miss Ashley? We got a picture of her up. Are you there, my friend?
She can hear us, but we can't hear her yet.
Oh, there we go. We unmuted her. That's a start.
Ashley, are you there?
All right.
Well,
so
technical deal,
we'll
that's
talk
okay.
about this. And this is extremely appropriate for Ashley's work and what we're going to talk about in the next half hour.
All right.
The thing about the Coast Guard, and we give our coastie friends a hard time.
Sure.
But underneath, deep, deep respect.
Oh.
When everybody else is shutting their helicopters and their airplanes down, these guys are spinning it up, and they're going out.
Coast Guard, and I've said this before many, many times, our branches train to do their job almost every single day. Coast Guard does their job there's no time for training because they're constantly doing it on a regular basis, whether it's rescuing some fishermen. Good morning, Ashley. There we are.
Outstanding.
How's it going today?
Good. How are you this morning?
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for getting up early on a Saturday morning to come join us and be part of this show. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, and thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you guys.
Excellent. Well, first of all, where are you calling in from right now?
I'm currently in Arizona.
Arizona.
Oh, you are getting up early.
Yeah, I love Arizona. Arizona's a great place. I was stationed out there. Probably not a lot of Coast Guard stations out in Arizona, I'm guessing.
No, sir, but I'm actually right out here by Luke Air Force Base.
All right. Been there.
Cool.
So, excellent. Well, Chuck, I'll let you.
We got a little bit discombobulated. Can we get the appropriate music? We're trying to. There we go. Here we go. No, maybe not.
Maybe not.
We were actually going to play the Coast Guard theme for you this morning, and we're having all kinds of technical difficulties. So we apologize.
There we go.
Well,
There we go.
Wonderful.
Alrighty.
All right, let's get back to some
Awesome.
serious
Quite the
interviewing
introduction.
stuff. So let's kind of jump into this, and I want to jump right into your book, and then we'll use that to segue into some of the experiences. We'd really like the audience to hear about your experiences. But you have written a book called The Hurricane Within, and that's one of those. It's not an inappropriate double entendre, but it is a double entendre in that you are kind of referencing two different events in your life. I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you talk about all of this. There you are. We've got your picture up in uniform and matched up with the picture of the book. So, Ashley, take it away. Tell us about your experiences. Jump into it, dive into it, and then we'll throw questions at you.
Ashley, you still there?
I think we've lost Ashley.
All right. As we're working to get Ashley back on.
And this is kind of bad. I'm going to throw JP under the bus, but I mean, come on. We had Ashley Leppert. She's adorable. And then we get JP's picture up there. Oh, God.
That's
terrible.
We're working on that.
She saw my picture. She hung up.
That's entirely.
She saw my mug and she said, "I gotta go. I can't stick around for this guy."
Ashley, I don't know if you can hear us. I'm going to talk a little bit about the
Well,
book.
she's actually off the call.
She's completely off the call.
Yeah. She left. I think maybe her phone may have disconnected. So hopefully she'll call us back.
Maybe she was offended by the double entendre remark, but it really is.
I doubt it.
There are two meanings to the title of the book, The Hurricane Within. There are two discussions.
And we'll talk about this one, that we can definitely talk quite a bit about is the actions of the Coast Guard, especially during natural disasters. And you made light to it early on is that as a former pilot, weather dictates whether you fly or don't fly. In the Coast Guard, I don't even know if they even look at the weather report because those guys go out there no matter what the condition is.
Yeah.
They are heading. They're not just trying to fly around it. Those guys are going straight into the action no matter what it is. And while much respect to all of our Service Branch Academy pilots, I got to say Coast Guard is definitely up there as some of the finest pilots in all of the branches, just for the simple fact of what they can do under, as again, never flown a aircraft on my own in my life. I got to say that's probably a pretty big challenge to navigate a aircraft in hurricane force
Now,
winds.
you've got Ashley back.
Ashley,
right.
you there?
So be
Sorry
nicer.
about that.
Be
That's
nicer.
okay.
Now, Ashley,
No, Ashley, it's their fault. They weren't nice to you.
yeah. Now, Joanne Arnold texted me and said you realized you hadn't paid your phone bill and you took a break to go pay it. Is there any truth to Joanne throwing you under the bus like that?
You know what? That's true. So I'm going to need to sell a ton of books so I can pay my next month's phone bill, guys.
Well, we will do what we
there we
can to
go.
help you sell a few more books.
Absolutely. Hey, and I don't know if you heard it as I was trying to set you up. You have a book that you have written called The Hurricane Within, and it has a bit
Yes,
of a
sir.
double meaning to it. I won't use double entendre because everybody thinks I'm talking about something else, and I'm not. But the book has two meanings. I want you to jump in and just tell your story because most of our audience is tired of listening to us.
Well, at least you, maybe not me.
Well, yeah. Andrew's always up for listening to his own voice. We've got your
Takes a
picture
certain
up.
kind of fool like to hear the sound of his own voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eagle song.
Let Ashley talk.
Okay, Ashley,
Ashley,
please.
it's yours.
Well, first off, I definitely just want to say thank you again so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to meet you guys virtually. You're right. So I was a helicopter flight mechanic specializing in avionics in the Coast Guard for 14 years. And my last station when I was down in New Orleans, I was there in 2017 with all the crazy Hurricane Harvey stuff.
Now,
that
let me
happened over
stop
in
you for just a
Houston.
second. I need the audience to understand. You weren't just a mechanic. You were a crewman, correct?
Yes, sir.
There we go. So the other branches of the service, they have separate crewmen from when we talk about an avionics guy. The avionics guys did not crew aircraft. You actually crewed aircraft. And that was one
Yes,
of the parts
sir.
of the
So-
story that was amazing. But anyway, let you go from there. It's all yours.
No problem, no problem. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah, usually in most branches of the military, you're either like a fixer or a flyer. Well, in the Coast Guard, we're kind of unique because we do the fixing, maintaining it, as well as flying and crewing it for different search and rescue and other missions that we go on. So it's kind of a two-part job, jack of all trades, if you will. So anyhow, I was stationed in New Orleans back in 2017, and I was actually one of the very first helicopter crews to go out into Houston right when the hurricane first hit land to go rescue people. Of course, I was very acutely aware of what I was going to encounter, but that abruptly changed once we were in the midst of the chaos, if you will. So anyways, I talk about a lot of that in my story, but because of my rescues that my crew and myself were a part of, President Trump actually invited me to his very first State of the Union address in 2018. And so using those experiences, I kind of decided to share my story. I know that my life is a little bit of an inspirational story, the things that I was able to overcome, and also dive deep into talking about my hurricane rescue. So that's kind of the compilation of what's in my story, and I don't want to give too much away, but the double meaning of the hurricane within is obviously flying into a hurricane, but then dealing with some internal hurricane issues, whether it be health and other issues that I've dealt with throughout my life. So, my new passion project today in life is just to share my story and inspire others and show people that they can get through anything regardless of the hand that life deals them.
Well,
So
actually,
I was going to say, talk a little bit about that hurricane within. Talk about that because that was part of the story. You overcame a ton.
Yes, sir. So the second part of that, the Hurricane Within title, I really talk about some things when I grew up. So my family life, I actually was dealing with a pretty significant health issue that was undiagnosed for many years that I kind of exposed a bit. And it was an autoimmune condition. And it was very important for me to talk about that just because a lot of people that do have autoimmune conditions, it takes years and years and self-troubleshooting and going to this doctor and that doctor to try to figure it out. So I just kind of wanted to bring hope to people that might have been dealing with the same kind of confusing health ailments. And then on top of it, I talk a lot about my family life, struggling with addiction in the family and also dealing with personal sexual assault that I encountered and just very kind of hot topics, if you will, that, a lot of people can relate to on a certain level. And I wanted every reader to take something away from my book and be able to relate to it or say, wow, I've been there, or wow, I can get over something that she's gotten over. And just, the world needs a lot of smiles and inspiration nowadays, in my opinion.
Well, Ashley, there is definitely no question about it. I mean, your book is, very telling. For those who've not read the book, if you could, and I'm holding the book's over there. Talk a little bit about, and you alluded to when you first came on, is you were prepared, but as a combat veteran myself, you can do all the training in the world, go on every range, do every type of scenario-based training for an actual event. But till you actually get to the event, you've really done no training, in my opinion. I mean,
exactly.
Exactly. I could run through the scenario. The mechanics are there, but what you actually experience, and we were talking a little bit while we had a little disconnect. Chuck was a former aviator, and most other branches, if it starts sprinkling, we button down the hatches and call it a day. But Coast Guard, I don't even know if you guys even bother looking at the weather report, because you guys are going out there in some of the most horrific type of weather conditions, Harvey being one of which. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like for you.
What it was like for you to
when
fly
you got that
in a
call,
Category 5 hurricane,
and going into Houston. What, for our viewers that have not read your book.
So you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. You can train all day, but really what it comes down to is your ability as a human being to make split-second decisions and think outside of the box in a scenario that you've never been in. And so I got this call. I had kind of been tracking the weather a bit, but I'm not a weather person. But basically, what I know about hurricanes is when they hit the coast, that dissipates it, and it kind of goes down a little bit instead of staying strong. Well, Hurricane Harvey was different because it stayed strong. It just hung out over Houston for days, which made it so different and made it that much harder to complete the rescues. So I got the call at 3 a.m. and to pack my bags, and so I just threw some dry socks and some undergarments in my flight bag, a couple granola bars, and I hit the road. And I got into work that morning, and it was calm and quiet, and we did our normal checklist. And the more and more we started heading west out towards Houston, the more and more I started to be like, okay, this is a lot bigger than we all anticipated. And I mean, you guys have to realize too, I mean, it dumped, I think, 300 billion gallons of water in just a few short days. I mean, that's just pure insanity. And people didn't prepare for that. They prepared for, okay, hurricane going to hit the coast and dissipate and be done. But that's the people, including the flight crew that went out there, we just had to make quick split-second decisions, be on our game. And like you said, you can train all day, but when you get out there in the mix of it, you're just like overwhelmed. It's sensory overload. So you got to be quick at compartmentalizing, quick at being safe with your checklist, but at the same time, you're doing stuff that's outside of your normal checklist realm. So it's just like adapt and overcome. So,
and not to steal thunder from the book, but one of the parts of it I took, and just so you knew, I flew 46s in the Marine Corps, and I'll come back because there's a sidebar story about that. One of the guys that was in 262 with me during Hurricane Harvey. But in the book, you talk, and I don't want you to go into all the details because we don't want to steal the thunder, but the thing I took away, and two things, and you just mentioned it, but one, the actual rescues that you operated on and how you were operating. But what struck me as really funny and really hit close to home, because it's so typical of the military. Yeah, I grabbed some underwear, threw it in a bag, and off we went. And then talking about trying to find a place to sleep and get a couple hours sleep and chomping on your granola bar. And I was taken back into that in that environment that a lot of times our military gets thrown into it with minutes notice.
Yeah, it's incredible. And what you guys did out there, first of all, you and your entire crew and all the members of the Coast Guard that were supporting operations out there under really untrainable type of scenario. Yeah. I mean,
how do you train for flying in a Cat 5 hurricane?
And one that just stayed there. That was the devastating part of Harvey. It wasn't going anywhere. It did not follow a traditional hurricane path. And it's like, okay, what do we do? And you alluded to it beautifully when you said, got to start thinking outside the box, doing things that you probably never trained for, never prepared for. There isn't even a manual that tells you how to do X, Y, and Z, yet you guys did X, Y, and Z flawlessly.
Yes, 100%. And you know that you definitely hit the nail on the head when you said we don't train for this. Typically when we go out training, we're in open water. You know, we go do helicopter hoist training with a small boat from another Coast Guard unit and our auxiliary unit or something, and it's just open water. We have never really trained in an urban environment like we were hoisting in, where there's trees everywhere and power lines in tall buildings, and that was something that we had to adapt
and
to.
at 120-mile-an-hour winds, you know, and rain on top of it.
Exactly. Yeah, so you have this rainwater and this wind gusting into your open cabin. You're looking down at these people that you have to hoist. You're trying to keep the pilot in line of where they need to steady their hover, and you're keeping them, you know, out of any obstacles in the area. Like I said, trees and power lines, which were everywhere, by the way. So the beauty of this whole situation with Hurricane Harvey was that we were able to take this crazy, unexpected urban survival type of helicopter hoisting and implement that into our new training. So now all of the new flight mechanics and pilots that go through training, they are now getting taught how to hoist in these urban environments. And it's actually, you know, the only way to get better is to go through something that you've never gone before and learn from it. And that's exactly what the Coast Guard's doing best, is we're taking that you know, information that we've learned from such a, you know, unexpected hoisting scenario and taking that into our present day training.
And that is, you know, outstanding. Now, just out of curiosity, I'm guessing your helicopter crew inside was it a Dolphin you were in? Is that the correct?
Yeah, she was in an 865.
You know, that's a 4-man crew?
Yes, sir.
Right. Like I said, and I can, not that I can relate to what you did as a Dolphin, but I know as a former tanker.
Did you just call her a fish?
I didn't call her a fish. I said as a Dolphin crew. Is that sorry? I was not in the Coast Guard. To make sure. You know, is that inappropriate? Yeah, I hope it is.
And if you haven't figured out already, our show is a little bit irreverent.
Yeah, but you know,
I love it. I love it. Like I said, I've been called worse, so I'll take Dolphin.
I love the fact that, you know, in your crew, and some things, you know, made me think about my time as a tanker is we fight as a single unit. You know, each person inside the tank crew has got a role and a job to do. Just like with you, how you were describing how you had to keep the pilot, you know, trained on where to hover. I hope I used the correct, you know, terminology, and knowing where the hoist is. I mean, you guys have to act in a single unit for something you've never trained before. You've never done, and that to me really is a testimony to the dedication and, most importantly, the professionalism of the Coast Guard and what you guys did. That is a true testament to what they do every single day.
Yes, sir. Thank you. No, I appreciate that.
Hey, can we get her back? I love this constant yes, sir, yes, sir. This is awesome. We are finally getting respect, because I can assure you, we do not get that respect from our producers over here.
Well, you need to
send
them the basic training then, it sounds like.
Ashley, thanks a lot. You know, I was buying
the bar on this show.
I was buying 10 books to give to family, and look what you did.
Yep. And
you're killing me, Ashley.
The prima donnas that we are now.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you hear the ego, Ashley? It's hard to deal with these two. I can't get them in the room, Ashley. Especially with the Army-Navy game, and these two are opposite ends.
But by the way, since you're Coast Guard, we're just kind of curious. Who are you liking to Army-Navy
exactly.
game?
That's our next
You really
question.
don't have a dog in the fight, so.
Or do you?
Oh, man.
Come on, you got to give it up. We're international on the show, so let us know who you got today.
Okay.
And remember, there is no wrong answer, but there is only one right answer.
Air Force. Sorry, I coughed a little bit
That's
there,
next
but,
week.
That's next week. We left that out.
Yeah.
Basically,
That's
so we'll
true.
talk about that later. So you're going with Air Force, so you're predicting next week's game, I take it.
Okay, so then Navy this week.
All right, go Navy, beat Army.
That's all right. That's all right. You know, we'll let it slide.
Did my invite to come back just go out the window?
No, absolutely not. I control that stuff. Andrew does what I tell him to do.
Actually, I let them think they control that
I'm
stuff.
just a pretty face.
Ashley, just call me. Kathy and I love you at JP Kathy Broadcasting Network. So you're always welcome back.
I would strongly
thanks.
suspect that you will be asked to come back on at least one other of their shows. And my friend Jim Blythe, who does Alliance for the Brave, would like to have you on as well because you're just a great and compelling story, and we love hearing about it. I want to ask you a helicopter question, and this is really for my own edification. So we think about the service helicopters, the Hueys and the Blackhawks, and I'm going to assume the Dolphin kind of falls into that category. But in reading the book, I didn't realize how underpowered the Dolphin is relative to, and I was flying 46s, so we had more power than we knew what to do with.
Yeah, well, that must be a nice feeling. Unfortunately, in the Coast Guard, especially the Dolphins, the one I flew on, I mean, we're just a short-range recovery helicopter, and it's tiny, and everything is based on weight, of course. And, of course, you know, you fill it up with fuel, and you only have 2 hours of flight time. So everything is a number crunch to make sure we've got enough power and torque to get out of a situation like when I spoke about in my book, how we had to land in that flooded parking lot.
Right.
And we were sitting there crunching numbers like, oh, crap, are we able to even, you know, pull ourselves out of this without hitting the tree line in front of us? So, yeah, there is a limited power source in that beautiful helicopter. But, you know, she gets the job done.
You got to love her.
I like that answer.
Yeah, you gotta love that. Yeah, and it is a compelling part of the book. I can't encourage people to read it enough. There's a little something for everybody, but it was just really interesting because I had never thought about the fact that the Dolphin really kind of wasn't built for a job like that. This is not a Black Hawk. This is not even a Huey power. I haven't flown the Black Hawk. I've flown the Huey. I absolutely love the Huey. Sorry, I'm going to start telling airplane stories, and you can't get airplane people together. Forget it. Just no other conversation gets allowed in. So we're going to move off of that.
Yeah, we are, because if not, I'm flying you to Arizona, and you guys can do this over coffee.
All righty.
This show isn't fueled by coffee?
No. It's all the pilot talk.
All the pilot talk. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll let you guys have coffee, and go Army.
Go Army.
Oh!
There you go. Thanks, JP.
Okay,
I
Kathy,
need a
you're
little
going to
love.
have to chime in. You are the deciding vote. No. You got to pick one. We made Ashley pick one.
Yeah, and didn't she say Air Force?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, gosh. This is too much pressure.
Got to do it quickly, too.
Okay, for Cleo, for her son, I'm going to go with Army.
All righty, there we go. 3-2 Army.
Oh.
See, Ashley, you and Chuck do have something in common.
I'll take it.
There we go. There we go. Are we up against the clock? We got time.
We
the
got
producer
extended
says
time.
We can keep going. Okay, so my question to you, what is the story that didn't make it in the book that you went, I should have told this story?
Ooh,
I keep looking at your picture and you're not there. I need to look over here.
All right.
I know. Sorry. I don't know if you can even see me. I've been trying to keep my video screen up here. But, man, there's so many stories that I really was not in a rush to publish it, but I was just so excited to share it with the world that I kind of, as you read, I made it a quick page turner and kind of kept the story rolling. But there's a lot of stories that I didn't put in the first one. Matter of fact, I'm actually kind of in the works of doing a second edition.
Really? Do we have a
yes,
title yet,
yes.
or?
I don't. It's still relatively new. It's in the early stages of production, but I will dive deep into a lot of stuff, a lot more personal stuff, and a lot more of the hurricane stuff, and just my general Coast Guard career where I talk more about my rescues and things. But yeah, there's definitely parts of Hurricane Harvey that I didn't put in there that were like personal things that I just wasn't ready to talk about. But I'm thinking the more and more I get comfortable with sharing my story and knowing that the things that I talk about are helping other people, the more brave I get about talking about it. So that's all I'll tell you for now, Chuck.
Okay,
But
nice tease. I like that.
Yeah. I was gonna-
So talk a little bit. Two questions. This will be a two-parter. One, did you medically retire from the Coast Guard because of the autoimmune disorder, or are you still in? And two, what is your life like today?
Sure. So I actually did medically retire from my autoimmune condition. As you know, with aviation, where you're very stringent with what medication you can take,
Yep.
and the medication that I was given for my specific autoimmune disease was grounding for aviation. So, which is all good at first. My heart was a little broken because I do love aviation, and I identified as Ashley Leppert, the flight mechanic in the Coast Guard for so many years. But I do see where God has kind of taken my path and then to the next chapter of what I'm doing now. So that kind of leads me into my present day. I am medically retired, like I said, but my new passion project is really just to share my story in whatever platforms that may be. So, of course, COVID has kind of put a kibosh on a lot of what I do, but book signings, and I am a motivational speaker. So I do take different events that will host me and share my story, just a compilation of my hurricane stuff, my life stuff, and just how to overcome and succeed and have a great mindset to overcome difficulties, which I think is the main staple of being able to have a sustainable, productive, positive life on this planet. So, I'm just really trying to just spread my personal story and inspire faith in people and just put a dang smile on everybody that I come across. That's like my
I like
favorite
that.
to do,
You
is just
gotta
make
love
everybody
that.
laugh and smile.
Yeah, gotta love that. So talk a little bit, and I'm trying to remember, and I don't think you brought it up in the book. And if you did, I'm sorry. I'm a Marine, and that must have been the part that wasn't the fill in the blanks with colors with
you
crayons.
didn't use enough crayons for him.
But
I try to put a lot of pictures in there.
I know.
And that helped.
I appreciate
That
that,
helped.
too. Talk a little bit. Why out by and isn't Luke near Phoenix? My dad
so
was. I'm an Air
actually-
Force brat. My dad was never stationed. At. Oh, and that's right. Luke is a fighter base too.
Mhm.
So my dad was with the YouTube program for a while. Anyway, we don't need to talk about me. But how'd you get to Luke or the Phoenix area?
So actually, if I'm being honest with you, I'm actually on
No, lie to
vacation
us.
right
We'd
now.
rather you lie to us.
I am actually, I call home Montana right now. I live
beach guy
just
country.
about an hour south of Missoula. I love the fishing. I love the hunting. I love the mountains up there. But I'm actually just here for a quick little vacation, just to warm my bones. Montana's getting a little cold, so I had to come down.
I've spent
here.
many times over in Butte, so I understand what you're talking about.
Yes, it's stunning up there, but that winter will get you when you least
Yes,
expect
it will.
So yeah, that's my reason for being in Arizona right now, warming my bones, having a little vacation. But I will be back to the Great White North here at the beginning of next week.
Very cool. Very well. Okay, so we connected through our good friend and friend of the show, Joanne Arnold, who all of us knows and loves, even if she doesn't return phone calls very well. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just throw Joanne under the bus? Joanne and I have worked on a Gold Star Family Monument project. She did one with our friend Terry Burgess,
Yep.
who's a Gold Star dad. Great story. Great. He also has a compelling book.
I met him and his wife. I love them.
Yes,
They're
they
the
are
best.
awesome. They are absolutely awesome.
They really are.
But Montana is the one state left in the nation that does not have a Gold Star Family Monument project, and we now have found we are voluntolding you to get this done. And we're at the end of our fundraising, so I'm going to designate every extra dollar we have to go into your coffers. How's that for a start?
Well,
How's that for being
challenge-
told to take on a project?
I love it. Listen, challenge accepted. I'm rogering up. This is something that I love and I can get behind 100%. So you put me up to a task like flying in a hurricane, I'm going to get it done. So you
I
asked
like
me
it.
to
I
get
like
a
your attitude.
Gold
I
Star
do, too.
Memorial. I'm all about it.
Outstanding. Yeah, where's our applause? We need to get our real production guy in here.
Hey, that was my applause.
I like
was-
it. You know, JP, I
That
got
was
your
me
back.
applauding.
I got JP's back.
Thank
Well,
you.
well,
we're
Ashley,
having a
I
little
cannot
bit
be.
of
Go Army, 64-3.
Hey, you know what? It doesn't matter what the score is. It's for the love of the game, baby.
Exactly. Well, Ashley, I for one cannot thank you enough for coming out and being part of our show today, joining us this morning, because I know it's early for us over here, so it's got to be even earlier for you out there in Phoenix. And your book is amazing. For those listeners out there looking for a good inspirational read, highly recommend The Hurricane Within. It is a great book. Assuming we can get that on Amazon and other areas. Where would you recommend our listeners to come purchase your book?
So first, I just want to say thank you again, you guys, for having me on. It's been an honor. It's been a great joy to get up early and drink my coffee with you guys. Also, thank you for your service. I know you probably hear that often, but I'm going to be another person to say it, so thank you.
You're
Likewise.
worth it.
And yeah, so my book, The Hurricane Within, is available on Amazon. It's it's in print, ebook version, excuse me.
Oh, I
and then
like
if you're
that.
interested in audiobooks, it's also on Audible and iTunes if you like to. And it is my voice, so I'm sorry for those that
There we
have
go.
to
That was
hear
my next
voice.
question. Cool.
I like it. I like it. Well, Ashley, you are definitely welcome on this show anytime you want to come on here. Feel free. Any topic, as we tell all of our listeners, fair game to chime in and put in your 2 cents on whatever it is. Correct us, because we make mistakes once in a while. So love to have you on here, and I want you to enjoy the rest of the warm weather you have over in Arizona, because I remember this time a year up in Butte, it's a little nippy out there, to put it mildly.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and pour a second cup of coffee and get myself moving here. But yes,
Oh.
And I appreciate.
I got to
definitely-
ask one more question.
What's that?
Sure.
Is the dog still with you?
Oh yes, Mandy Pants is my shadow. She is.
She
man,
has a
you're gonna get me
great
all-
dog.
She is. She really is. Of course, as you can tell in the book, I talk a lot about her, and there's pictures of her in there too.
Yep.
Well,
She's my best
Ashley,
friend.
again, thank you so very much. We really appreciate all the extra time we definitely got to have
Yeah,
with
this
you
is great.
today.
This is
This
absolutely
was
great.
phenomenal. Please make sure you keep on listening to the show and call in anytime. Love to have you as a guest again.
And we will be
always
in
welcome.
touch about the Gold Star Family Project. You're
Absolutely.
going to love
Yes,
this.
please do.
And
Please do.
you're
I'm
going to
serious
love the
about
people
that.
involved, including,
Wonderful.
I'm going to give a shout out to my 97-year-old dear. I can't say dear friend, but he is definitely a friend. And I am very close to Woody Williams, the last surviving Marine Medal of Honor recipient from World War II. He earned that on Iwo Jima. His is a great story as well. And welcome to our honoring our Gold Star families. I love the way we kind of pressured her into that. That was
No,
just
I
the
love
way
that.
I love
There's
to do
no
things.
pressure.
There wasn't a whole lot of arm twisting on that one.
no.
No,
I noticed
there's
that.
no
I noticed
pressure.
that.
Gives
I
us an
can't-
excuse
That's
to
like
go to
a
Montana.
completely
Oh,
honorable
there we
thing for me to
go.
be a part of.
Road
We're gonna
trip.
be road
Hey,
trip.
if we-
vacation in
Yeah,
Montana.
actually,
We're
if we-
RBing it up to Ashley.
I love it.
If
I
we do
love
that,
it.
I will tell you one thing. Greatest battlefield that I've gone to visit, Little Bighorn. Awesome.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
your greatest?
Have you ever been to that
No,
one?
I've never been to Montana.
Oh my
So
God!
I need to log
Montana's one
as
of
a
4
state.
states I've not been to.
Let me tell you,
So
actually, I
Ashley's
think
giving us a reason.
I know.
Yeah.
I love this.
Come visit me.
we
All
will
right.
do that road trip. Put
Road
it
trip.
down.
Road trip.
So,
Woo!
all righty. Well,
Yes, and like I said, it's an honor to be able to help out in any way for the Gold Star families. Please, that's like the biggest honor you could have given me to help out to get that settled in Montana. Let's make it happen.
All right.
I love it.
Outstanding.
Hoorah.
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 All right. So are we?
well, we're getting ready.
Are we signing off, or are we just going to
Well,
go
well,
on
we're
for
gonna-
hours and hours?
We're getting ready to sign off. But before we sign
No,
off,
I liked Ashley, so you got to go past 8 o'clock.
all right.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
see how
two
this
going
is.
on for hours and hours.
Yeah. Well,
Wrong.
before we sign off, we do have one quick thing that we did not get to talk
Okay.
about over there, and that is this week, America, we lost truly
Oh.
a
Yes.
not just a legend, but an American icon.
Absolutely.
JP, if you can pull it up, Brigadier General Chuck Yeager,
Yeah,
Air
we're going to
Force.
talk about him. If you want to pull up the X1 picture, Chuck Yeager literally exploded onto the screen. I'm going to use that because when you break the sound barrier, there he is.
Right.
Glamorous Glynis is what he named the X1. Glynis would go on to be his wife. That was his girlfriend at the time. This was at Edwards Air Force Base where I mentioned my dad earlier. My dad was stationed working with the U2 program. But the joke about breaking onto the scene, he, in 1947, made history by being the first man to break the sound barrier. And it literally is, and there's a great video, and I wish I had the clip of it, that talked about what is happening physically as you get closer and closer to the sound barrier. But literally the sound waves start piling up because normally sound is traveling faster than airplanes are traveling.
Yep.
So what happens is as you get closer and closer, those sound waves can't get ahead of the plane, and they literally start to pile up. And when you break through that, they're all let go, and it creates a literal explosion.
Sonic boom.
That an F-16 pilot used in Iraq when they were out hunting Scuds. He actually saved a Special Forces team by exploding sound barrier blasts onto the ground. So let's get back to Chuck Yeager, an absolutely incredible pilot. He shot down 2 Me-109s without firing a shot.
And how did he do that?
It was incredible. So he pulls up behind a pair of Me-109s flying in formation. He was in a P-51, comes diving down on him, scared the 109 pilot so bad he forgot spatial awareness, pulled his stick hard right, and flew right into the other Me-109, knocking both of them out of the sky without firing a shot. He would down 3 more German airplanes that day to become an ace of the day.
Yep. He was what do they call it, double ace, because he had 13 confirmed.
11 and a half. 11 and a half official, according to his Wikipedia page. So,
Wikipedia will go. I read 13, from John Keating.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep,
John Keating is probably wrong.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Sorry, John.
Well, John.
So here he is as a brigadier general.
Now, I will tell you, shortly after 9/11, I was in charge of security of DFW Airport when the military took over, and I met Chuck Yeager and his granddaughter.
Wow.
Let me tell you, arguably one of the top 3 or 4 finest Americans I've ever met in my entire life.
He in an incredible
Class
individual
act is
all the
an
way.
understatement to describe this man.
So I'm going to tell he's definitely a pilot with the right stuff. And let me tell a story. Shortly after the Korean War, we had a defector in a MiG-17. And at the time, they didn't know much about the MiG-17. So, the pilots started flying it and reverse engineering and all that stuff. So he took an F-86 up against the MiG-17 and beat it. But then he switched seats. He took the MiG-17 up and beat the next best F-86 pilot on the base. So very much the right stuff. Like in football, coaching matters. Like in flying, pilots matter. Yeah. And he was just absolutely iconic. Just an incredible individual. I'm trying to think.
And 97 years young when he passed. Let me tell you, he lived a full, good life. And
absolutely.
He's what, in the Van Halen song, "What Dreams Are Made," that's him.
Now, real quick as we finish this, he went from a private in the Army Air Corps, rose through the ranks to become a brigadier general. He was a squadron commander, a group commander, and a wing commander. Just an incredible American.
Yep. That's pretty much the only word you need to use to describe him.
And I'm really starting to hate 2020 because we have too often.
And all right. That's probably our sign that we need to get ready to sign off.
Army fight song, baby.
Army fight song.
Oh, there
so
we go. We got to close. In the tradition, we open with a Navy fight song.
We're closing with the Army.
losing school has to go first the next year. So
with that being said, go Army, beat Navy.
Go Navy, beat Army. Thank you guys for starting your Saturday with Kilroy's Conversation.
See you next week.
See you next week.